Cisco VPN, Firepower Threat Defense, and Microsoft's Azure AD and Identity Services Engines authorization only with posture. All right, let's create a couple of objects first. Now, this is built on the VPN that we've already got in place. All we're going to do is add Identity Services Engine from an authorization perspective only. And it'll also do posture. So we're going to add the policy services node. So our ISE node is all in one, but you may have dedicated policy services node. We'll create a group with those servers identified, and we're going to use that in our policy. All right, let's go ahead and create an object group. And so this is going to be for an example purposes only, and this is going to be the remediation servers. And so here we create a list of remediation servers like patching servers, etc. That would be used in order to remediate if you fail posture check. So this is just an example, nothing more. I just wanted to include it to be thorough, but we aren't providing remediation in this example. So we'd add our servers like our patching servers, etc. to this group, and we'll use these two objects in our extended ACL. So let's go ahead and create that now. We'll go ahead and give it a name. This name has to be the exact same name that's going to be referenced in Identity Services Engine. This is our redirect ACL. And so the first couple entries that we're going to actually include, like going to the ISE server, DNS server, our remediation server, we're actually going to block redirection. So we don't want those to be redirected. We want those to be able to get to the resources that they require. So we'll go ahead and we'll go any to Identity Services Engine. I'm not going to make you go through each one of these, but here's the summary. We've got the top one allows or doesn't redirect to Identity Services Engine. Then you've got DNS and the remediation servers, no redirection. And then finally, permit anything else after that. And that will be redirected to Identity Services Engine. Let's go ahead and create our Radius server group here. We'll give it a name. We're going to call this one ISE-group. There's no realms. We're only going to use authorization. We're going to enable dynamic authorization, so the ability to enforce policy access control once you met the needs of the network. Likewise, if you wanted to boot somebody off, that would also be a change of authorization. So dynamically making a change to that. Now we're going to go ahead and create that Radius server. So give it the IP, your shared key, and we're going to pick an interface here. In my case, most likely yours is going to be inside, mine's outside in this case because it's just a lab environment. And then we'll use that posture redirect. We'll call that out here as well, and we'll save that out. All right, so now we've got our objects, our ACLs, we've got our Radius object. Let's go back to Remote Access VPN. We'll go ahead and edit this here. And we'll go ahead and edit our policy. We'll go to AAA, and we're going to go ahead and select the Identity Services groups here that we just created for both authorization and accounting. That's it. That's all we need to do here. We'll go ahead and save that out. We'll save the policy. And we'll go ahead and push our deployment. So that's all we need to do here. Next step is Identity Services Engine. So let's go ahead and log in here. Now I've already added the NAD or firepower to the Identity Services Engine as a Radius node. It's pretty simple to do. I might include that in the comment section, or I may add a screenshot near the end. Either or, it's pretty easy. You just go to Network Devices and add that identity for the ASA or firepower. You go ahead and add that shared key that we entered in there, and that's it. That's all you really have to do there. Now, we've jumped over here to update our repository so we can use that in our policy. So that will take a moment or so. Let's just get right into it here, and we'll go ahead and add the resources from the Cisco site. Now, this is after our update, of course, and we're going to go ahead and select our compliance module that we're interested in. Now, if you don't see anything here, most likely you've got to do that update. It hasn't been done. All right, so now we have the compliance module added. Let's go ahead and build out the elements for client provisioning. So the first thing we'll go is we're going to upload the AnyConnect image. I've already downloaded that from Cisco's site. We're going to go ahead and choose that now. Go ahead and open. This will upload and we'll submit. So now we've got the AnyConnect client as a resource available to us. And now let's go ahead and build out our posture profile. So we'll go ahead and give this a name. There's a lot of settings here. We're not going to go through them, of course, but we're going to get you up and running here. So let's go ahead and give it a name. And now what we need to do is scroll down. And you can see there's a ton of enable notification and stealth mode, rescan button, UAC prompt, posture state synchronization interval, automated dart count. You've got some grace periods here. You've got IP address change to help accommodate for that. And then you've got posture protocol. So here we need to put an IP address. This could be any IP address. It's not an IP address necessarily in our environment. And then for server name rules, just star there is fine for our example, and we'll save that out. All right, so that's built. Let's go ahead now and create our AnyConnect configuration. So go ahead and select the AnyConnect resource that we've uploaded. And here we'll select the compliance module. And then AnyConnect module selection. So we're going to include diagnostics and reporting. We'll leave the rest default. We'll grab our ISE posture profile that we created. And you can see there's other options here available as well. We're going to go ahead and hit submit. All right, so we've got our AnyConnect configuration, our posture profile. Now let's go ahead and start pulling some of this together. So we'll go into client provisioning. And you can see here there is a couple of available options. We're going to go ahead and duplicate one of these. We're going to insert policy above. We'll give this a name. And here we're going to select all windows. And for the result, we're going to go ahead and select that AnyConnect configuration. So the customization that we did there, we'll go ahead and save this out. That's the client provisioning policy. All right, let's go to posture. Now we've got a bunch of posture policies in place today, and there's a predefined one with anti-malware check with any version of malware. I'm not really looking for the posturing element, but we will leverage this policy, so we will enable it to do a posture check against the asset. So it just needs some default anti-malware capability, and you'll pass posture. Let's go ahead and create the ACLs. Now, a quick note on those, you can do a ton of different things. You can do all kinds of checks. This is only touching the surface. Okay, so let's go back to that downloadable ACL. Posture unknown, we're going to permit access to DNS, ISE, and AD and 443. And we'll go ahead and create another downloadable ACL. We'll give it a name of posture non-compliant. So this is if you are non-compliant. We're going to deny access to any internal network, but anything else you could get to outside of any internal network. We'll go ahead and save that out. Oh, actually, let's just do a quick check. Everything looks good, and we'll submit. And let's go ahead and add one more here. So we've got non-compliant, we've got unknown. Obviously, the next one is compliant. So what happens when you have met the requirements to get on the network, a certain trust level has been achieved. In this case, very simple, permit IP any. We'll check the ACL. Everything looks good. Okay, now we've got our downloadable ACLs. Let's build out our authorization profiles. Go ahead and hit add. We'll give this a name here. FTD, VPN, redirect. We'll give this the downloadable ACL assigned to the VPN redirect is posture unknown. And where are we going to redirect the individuals? Well, we want to get that posturing mechanism done, right? So we need a way of redirecting the user to the client provisioning posture element. We've got to reference that ACL on firepower threat defense. And then the value is the client provisioning portal. We're just going to use the default here. We'll go ahead and hit save. And that's our posture unknown. So if it's unknown, you get redirected to the browser to go through the posturing process. We're going to duplicate this. We'll go ahead and give this a name here. Clean it up here. Get rid of the redirect _ copy. And this is going to be non-compliant. So we want to change that DACL name or downloadable ACL into posture non-compliant. And we want to uncheck the web redirection. Pretty simple here. Go ahead and hit submit. And we'll add the final piece of the puzzle here for authorization profiles. So this will be VPN permit all. The DACL will be VPN permit all. Oh, it's up the top there. Let's scroll back up. Come on. There we go. And we'll submit that. Okay, so we've got all the pieces that we need to build this out. So let's go ahead and go into policy sets. And I've got a couple policy sets. There's one here that calls out the remote access VPN. That's just a group that the firepower VPNs and ASAs are housed in. So I'm just saying from this group, we're going to jump in. We're not doing any authentication. We're only doing authorization. So I've got some policy down here for an Active Directory integration with the ASA platform. We're going to clean this up a little bit for our use case here. So let's give it a name, VPN posture compliant. First thing we're going to look for is the ability to validate that posture is compliant. So go ahead and search for posture. It's at the very bottom here. We'll go ahead and select that. Scroll here and oh, there it is. So session posture status equals compliant. And then the next one we're going to do is we're going to look for username. And what we're going to do is grab everything from the @ symbol on the UPN that the user is using to log in. So let's go ahead and network access username, and we're going to include @CiscoSecurityGuru.onMicrosoft.com, and we're going to match at the end of. So as long as it has this at the end, then it's going to match. So if you're compliant and you're coming in as a user from CiscoSecurityGuru.onMicrosoft.com, you're going to hit this policy. Go ahead and save this out. And now we'll go ahead and select our profile. This is the authorization profile that we just completed. And in this case, we're looking for VPN permit all. And we're going to go ahead and duplicate this. We'll change the name to non-compliant. That means we've got to change the session status for posture to non-compliant. And we'll go ahead and save that out. And that looks good. We'll go ahead and duplicate. We'll come back to the profiles in a second because we got to modify those as well. And this one here is going to be posture unknown. Go ahead now and change the session posture status to unknown. Save that out. And so now we've got our three policies. Everything looks pretty good here. Yeah, that looks good. But let me get rid of this one here, just because I don't want, for whatever reason, that policy getting hit, although it shouldn't. And then the other ones we'll come back to. I'm going to disable those ones, but let's just make sure that we've got the right authorization profile assigned before we forget. So we want VPN non-compliant associated to the non-compliant one, and then the redirect policy, right? If it's unknown, we want to redirect you to the browser. You're going to see that in a minute when we do our testing. And let's just disable these other ones here. You could leave them, but I'm just going to disable them. And we'll go ahead and save this out. And that's it. That's the configuration. That's all we need to do from here. But let's go to live sessions so we can look at that. That's going to get ready. Let's just jump over and connect. Go ahead, and this is the SAML portion. Again, if you want to see this piece and how it's configured, check the videos just before this one. We'll go ahead and Sales 1, Security, Cisco Security Guru.onmicrosoft.com. Go ahead and hit next. I've got my two-factor. It's going to show up here once I enter my password. And I'm seeing it now on my phone. Yep, right here. Go ahead and approve. And go ahead and say yes. All right, so the basics is done. I've VPN'd in, but that was all built configuration before. There's nothing here on the posturing element that has kicked in yet. So it's going to go ahead and establish the connection. It's going to come back as unknown. When I hit that unknown policy, the redirect's going to happen. So the redirection's happening. Let's just refresh our live logs here, and we can see posture status is pending. So here we're redirected to Identity Services Engine. We go ahead and say start the device security check. It's detecting if AnyConnect is installed and running. It is, but this is my first time. I don't have all the components, and all I have to do is click download. It goes ahead and downloads that. I open the file, and it gives you kind of an understanding of what's required here. Go ahead and hit yes. Now the network setup assistant, so client provisioning's taken place. It's downloading the AnyConnect Secure Mobility client. It's saying we're connected to Identity Services. Do we trust it? And now here we go. Downloading ISE Posture. We've got the reporting tool and the compliance module. And now we're installing. So now we install the compliance module. We'll go ahead and install the posturing. And done. That was pretty quick. Okay, so system scan. So you can see that additional module added to AnyConnect. Now it's doing the scanning of the system. It looks like we are compliant with that check mark. Yep, and the browser also says go ahead and access the network. I've got hairpinning turned on, so let's go ahead and see if we can get to an external site at this point. Let's go to Google, and there we go. Connectivity. So we've met the compliant requirements. We have access to our internal network, and we are hairpinning. Let's just check Identity Services Engine, and we can see here it is compliant. Now let's look at a couple things here. One is we know that downloadable or dynamic ACL was applied. There's the name of it, VPN permit all on dash, and then this unique identifier. So let's just see if we can see that within the Firepower Threat Defense platform. And the name looks good, yeah, and it matches, and we know that it's dynamic as well. Okay, perfect. So that did succeed. We saw it not only on the Identity Services Engine, but we also saw the outcome being enforced on Firepower Threat Defense as well. Show VPN-session DB AnyConnect gives us insight into what tunnel groups, what protocols, IPs, etc., what user. Let's go ahead and look at the last 5 minutes here, and we'll go down, and here's some great insight as well into the connection. So we can see it's compliant, the time it took actually, the policy that was matched, and the VPN dynamic or downloadable ACL that was applied. And that's it. 20 minutes, we got ISE posture with Azure AD and SAM out.